So here's how far gone the Canadian mainstream media are. If you needed another example, and you're here, so you probably don't, but let's just talk about it anyway. A mother stands up, not just a mother, but a journalist. Her name is Lorraine Brett from the New Westminster Times. She's someone with the credibility of experience and the training to ask the questions the press gallery should be asking. You see, Lorraine's got a son in recovery from addiction. She's lived through the absolute nightmare that is Trudeau, Carney, and BC Premier David Eby's so-called safe supply of fatal opioid poison. She's exactly the kind of person this broken system has failed. In fact, here's some of her Parliamentary Health Committee testimony from December 2024.
For the better part of 20 years, my now 40-year-old son, Jordan, lived on the streets of New Westminster and Vancouver's downtown east side as a drug-addicted, homeless, mentally ill man. It was 20 years of living hell.
Okay, so now we know who Lorraine is. She shows up at a Pierre Poilievre campaign event in her town as local media, where he announces what might be the boldest, most compassionate drug policy we've seen in a generation outside of what the province of Alberta is currently doing. An end to taxpayer-funded poison, a shift towards mandatory court-ordered treatment to save addicts from themselves and communities and families from the carnage.
Unfortunately, what we're seeing from the Liberals is more of the same. Tens of millions funneled to activists to promote safe supply, and the idea that it's wrong to curtail the rights of citizens to use drugs. How do you propose to counter the Liberal activist narrative?
Thank you so much. That is a very important question. And thank you. Sorry that there's a lot of light on you, so I couldn't see where you were speaking from. That's why I wasn't able to make eye contact. But your story is very powerful. And thank you for the courage of sharing it. I think that a lot of people listening right now who are struggling with a child that has an addiction will now see light at the end of the tunnel because you have shared that story. I want to hear this story happen 50,000 times. We're going to cut back on the government-funded drug supply. We're going to put the money into treatment centers that work, like the Oak Centre in Winnipeg, like the Harvest House in Ottawa and in Moncton, and like countless other treatment centers that are represented by volunteers and philanthropists behind me today. Treatment works.
And what did the media do? Did they take notes? Did they amplify Lorraine's story? Do they challenge the government policies that put her family through hell? Nope. They smear her. Glenn McGregor, in fact, accused Lorraine of being a conservative plant. Not because she wasn't, but because she committed the ultimate crime in the eyes of Canada's subsidized press corps. She agreed with Pierre Poilievre.
The despair of death through drug use, although resuscitation.
I understand that, but you know, we get only a limited amount of questions to ask Mr. Poilievre.
Yeah.
You're coming here, you have an issue, and I understand how passionate you are and important it is to you personally.
Yeah.
But you're asking a question that sounds like to a lot of people listening at home that you were planted by the campaign.
No.
And you're attacking you're attacking his opponents.
An investigative report.
Okay,
An
great.
investigative report, and I hope that you do read it.
I will.
We know for a fact that BC's mental health, the healthcare ministry has delivered to activists millions and millions of dollars funneled there to support what? To support treatment? No, not in your life. To support the proper medication for the severely mentally ill. To provide a bed so that your child isn't sleeping in the woods at night. No, they were not supporting that. They were supporting people who wanted to defund the police, who wanted to deregulate drug use or decriminalize drug use.
That's it. That's all it takes now. Be a mother, be a journalist, be informed, have experience, speak up, and the mainstream media will try to erase you. Not with facts, but with innuendo. That's like accusing me of being a conservative plant if I ask a politician about the canola tariffs as both a farmer and a journalist. You know who they never ask if they're planted? Those pro-Hamas activists who scream outside of Poilievre events, the taxpayer-funded gender ideologues with professionally printed protest signs protesting the governments of Alberta and Saskatchewan, the taxpayer-funded harm reduction lobbyists testifying in Parliament to bolster the federal government's claims of safe supply. But a woman who saw a safe supply nearly destroy her son and has the guts to say enough, well, she must be a secret agent for the Conservatives.
Well, we can't
But I don't-
unmake ourselves.
Sure, but I don't ask
So-
questions about my kid at the press conference.
Yeah, well, did your kid die 12 times on the street?
As I say, a very
What,
compelling
did he
story.
live? Did he live in a park? Did he live homeless? Was he forever dissolving into a further and further drug use? I mean, it was just a tragedy beyond words, and he has
I'm glad
survived.
he's okay. Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Lorraine's question was fair. It was calm. It was direct. It was basically, what will you do differently from the government that nearly cost me my child? And Pierre Poilievre gave a real answer. And the harm and the lies and the slow death of addicts on the public dime, and replace it with real treatment, real accountability, real recovery, and some hope. Because dead addicts don't recover. And enabling addiction isn't compassion. It's cruelty in a lab coat. It's slow, state-funded suicide, because you either get clean or you die. The real story here is that a mother with skin in the game and a journalist stood up and did the job the entire Ottawa Press Gallery is too gutless to do. So no, Lorraine is not a plant. She's the antidote. And the fact that it's her being investigated by Glenn McGregor and the rest of the press, and not the policies that put fentanyl in kids' hands, tells you everything you need to know about the Canadian media in 2025. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. To see more stories just like this and to support our independent journalism, please go to campaign2025.com.